Hello and welcome to The Drum. I'm Tim Palmer, and coming up today, can the Defence Force Academy recover from its handling of the cadet sex scandal? The federal government facing a big court battle over plain packaging for cigarettes, and tried and tested which schemes to cut carbon emissions really work. Our panel tonight, LJ Loch from consulting group Republic, Liberal councillor for Stonnington in Melbourne, Tim Smith, and in Melbourne, academic and broadcaster Waleed Ali. Welcome to you all this afternoon. We're starting off with the latest developments on the webcam sex scandal involving Australian Defence Force cadets. Defence Minister Stephen Smith has refused to express confidence in the head of the Academy in Canberra. He's called the decision to proceed with a disciplinary hearing against the teenage girl at the centre of the controversy a serious error of judgment.
The Skype incident, she was charged with these matters. Now, I regard that, as I said yesterday, as being somewhere from completely insensitive to completely stupid.
A problem with the audio there, sorry about that, but federal police say it's not clear whether the filming of two cadets having sex will be in breach of any laws.
The original advice that was provided was on a very bare set of circumstances, and that advice that was provided to Defence didn't really fully comprehend the magnitude of what we now know to be the case. Investigators in the ACT are conducting an investigation as we speak, and until they have interviewed all the witnesses, spoken to everyone concerned and examined the evidence, then we can't actually determine what offences may or may not have been committed.
So meanwhile, another woman has contacted ABC Radio today, claiming her niece was treated badly by officials after she alleges she was raped at the academy.
The Defence Force did absolutely nothing. In fact, she was told by her commanding officer to suck it up, and when it looked like she was going to pursue the charges, her partner at the time was in another Defence Force and his career was threatened.
So, Waleed Ali, can we look first of all at the Federal Police comments today? The Commissioner suggests that they received very scant information from the Australian Defence Force and certainly concluded there wasn't much to it on the initial take, and he now says they didn't really get enough information. So what does that suggest about the Defence Force's response in this? I mean, are we talking cover-up or incompetence? What do you think?
Well, you know, there's that old adage about if you're given a choice between conspiracy and stuff up, you always choose stuff up. But, you know, there'll be a lot of people who are quite prepared to reach for the conspiracy button here, not just because of this particular issue and this, you know, this particular episode, but because there are suspicions that really there's a culture of this kind of thing happening within the Defence Force. Now, of course, armies are not known for their openness, and so it's entirely understandable in many ways that you would have this sort of cover-up culture that emerges within an institution that's not really designed to be inherently democratic and does respond to command structures and authority structures and those sorts of things. So the question really here is going to be whether or not the reason they didn't have the information that was necessary to get a good legal response the first time is because they didn't want it, or because somebody who did have the relevant information decided not to pass it down the line to the lawyers that were going to look at it.
Well, LJ, ex-Defence Chief Peter Cosgrove, he suggested it's not a cultural problem. These are unpleasant incidents. He's not standing up for that. But that this isn't sort of a tradition within the Defence Force. Is he right, first of all, and does he represent what the real thinking is within the Defence Force about this type of problem?
Well, I can't comment on whether, what the real thinking is within the Defence Force, but, the Minister used the phrase, it's either insensitive or stupid. I'd actually suggest the response has been both. I do think there's a significant problem when you look at the fact that 14.5% of the Defence Force are women in the permanent force versus 45% approximately in the general workforce. So there is a real and genuine imbalance there that needs to be addressed, that has been identified decade after decade, and yet nothing seems to be happening either at a senior level or down at the ground levels.
Tim Smith, the Australian Federal Police Commissioner at Negus today was suggesting, OK, for a start, they were somewhat hamstrung by the lack of information they got from Defence. But it's clearly not straightforward to work out which law might have been broken here. They're even talking about having to look at the Privacy Act or some law to do with the transmission of the